Meditation Master Jin Bodhi's Dharma Teachings, The Benefits of Meditation. How's everyone feeling after practicing for 2 days? Was it good? Good. In the past, many didn't have the chance to experience such a retreat, especially those living in the city. Master, what do we learn in meditation? I've been asked that question many times. My answer is that there are many answers I consider acceptable, but they're not entirely correct. When I was in Vancouver, some English-speaking practitioners asked me, "What is meditation?" Someone answered that by coming to Bodhi meditation, they gain freedom. I don't think that's quite right. You can't just show up whenever you want. And when people are meditating, you can't sing as you wish. It doesn't work that way. What sort of freedom do you gain? Studying meditation helps us realize 2 perspectives of life. The first is knowledge about the universe, or law of nature, which includes natural phenomena such as seasonal changes. Singapore doesn't have much seasonal change, and it never snows here. No, but your heart feels snowed under when you're unemployed. Singapore's seasonal changes aren't obvious, but seasonal changes still occur. For example, when we know nature, we know about seasonal foods with different qualities. Food is meant to be eaten, but lack of knowledge can lead to poisoning. You should understand weather changes, especially when you leave Singapore. For different parts of the world, ignorance of weather can result in suffering. Many people travel to Tibet, but the moment they step out of the plane, they start to feel dizzy. Before they start their tour, they're relying on an oxygen tank with a tube up their nose, like an extraterrestrial. They're in the hospital for 3 days. If they're lucky, they can travel again after 3 days. For some, 3 days isn't enough, and they have to return to Singapore because of altitude sickness. So, we meditate to understand nature. Is it easy to understand nature? No. In fact, it's quite difficult to grasp. Do we understand feng shui? No. In the past, Chinese people didn't like living by the sea. There's a saying, only the ignorant live by the sea. Why is that? Because it is very humid by the sea. Just a kilometer inland, the air is much drier. There's a difference of 10%. Cultures evolve from era to era. Many cultural changes are blunders. Do you read people's minds? No. Do you recognize your affinity? No. If you truly have affinity with someone, you may be friends for life. With others, you're fated to be enemies. I mean the inborn destiny. Some are destined to be your enemies. Say someone annoys you at first sight. Let me tell you this, you'll still be enemies in 20 years. There's a reason for the annoyance. Your magnetic fields repel each other. If such a couple get married, there would be conflicts. and bad fights. If they become husband and wife, one of them is going to be troubled. That's how it is. Our recognition of the universe can be drilled down to specialists. Some spend their entire life analyzing minerals, or a specific stone or metal, such as a ruby, iron ore, copper, diamonds, or stones for making cement. There are some who devote their life to one task without any achievement. This is an issue of understanding the environment. How many other professions are there? Over 10,000. Let's say I like only one skill, drawing. Sometimes a 70-year-old artist isn't as artistic as a kid. No talent in drawing. But the 70-year-old guy chose art only because he wanted an artsy girlfriend. So, despite having persisted in drawing, he failed to sell his art. Some singers sing so badly that their audience ends up in hospital. There is such a talent in Vancouver. For me, the scariest thing in Vancouver, which makes me feel like avoiding it, is hearing him sing. I can't take it. His wife must have an uneasy life. How strong she must be. Understanding the external world involves all of our behaviors. No matter how capable and intelligent we are, how much time we have, it's hard to know the universe, not mentioning fortune-telling, which is harder. Let's talk about tailoring. To be good at tailor even, you need 30 years of experience to make a masterpiece. It's hard. Meditation helps us understand the universe and the law of nature, or the natural law. The ethical rules need us to understand too. It's a misunderstanding to just go with the flow and ignore the man-made rules. For example, a life for a life and a debt repaid. Can you ignore the rules? No, you have to follow the rules. When you don't follow the rules, someone may put a bullet in your head because you killed at will. Murder is a big sin. How about stealing? What do you say? In the past, thieves had their fingers chopped off with a knife. Those who stole a second time and got caught had another finger chopped. What happened the third time? Any idea? Another finger? No, this time a hand. So we need to understand ethical rules. Do you understand human psychology? Many people don't know how to maintain good interpersonal relationships. I've been to many Singaporean businesses, but didn't find many smart businessmen. Many people worry about not getting wealthy because they're not good businessmen. Say I'm dressed sloppily, even though I wear expensive clothing. I only do my laundry once a month. So I smell bad. Salespeople refuse to attend to me, especially the expensive stores. In Singapore, I don't like shopping in Orchard Road because salespeople give me the cold shoulder, and because everything is expensive. Life is like an uphill struggle. In Singapore, that's what I feel. Everything's expensive: buildings, houses, and cost of living. In understanding the external environment, If you don't perform even a simple task well, it shows that you've not learned well. There's a Chinese saying, every visitor is a guest. The more visitors you get, the more opportunities to earn money. Just because I'm a sloppy dresser, I don't get treated well. Of course I'm going to be annoyed. So I don't visit Orchard Road anymore in protest against their bad manners. Does anyone here have a shop there? Show yourself. You will never see me in Orchard Road. Too expensive. Survival there isn't easy. Lucky if you have no heart attacks while running a business there. Understanding of the universe through meditation can be accelerated. That's one of the benefits. Benefits of meditation. External, understanding the law of nature. The second benefit of meditation is understanding the inner self. The first part is about the law of nature. The second benefit concerns the inner self. How do we understand our inner self? We start with understanding our own thoughts. In other words, we understand ourselves from within. We use our senses: sight, smell, touch, hearing, etc., to understand the world around us, or to judge people, products, the effect others have on us, or how we're influenced by others. We use our senses to understand this world, but few use them for self-awareness, to tell rights and wrongs. When you make judgments, are you always right? Did you view the world with the right perspective? Perhaps your perspective is skewed. Let's use a pair of glasses as an example. If you wear rose-colored glasses, the world looks rosy. It's because the glass is tinted that your judgment is inaccurate. There's a proverbial Chinese story: 4 blind men and the elephant. 4 blind men touch an elephant. Each touches a different part. The first man says that an elephant is like a big hose because he's touching the trunk. The second man says it's like a pillar because he's touching the leg. The third man says it's like a fan because he's touching the ear. The fourth man says it's like a rope because he's grabbing the tail. None knew what an elephant looked like. When our state of mind is not expansive enough to evaluate things across time and space, our understanding and judgment might be biased. When biases exist, our emotional state and self-expression become skewed. Sometimes we're angry when there's no need to be angry. For example, a couple feels anxious if they're unable to conceive after 3 years. When they do give birth, they get aggravated. Because a child is mischievous, they wonder why the child isn't as obedient as the grandfather. Of course your child is not as calm as his grandpa. Imagine a grandpa behaving like a mischievous monkey. Then it must be a grandpa monkey. that is too old to move around.
这个大家听不懂啊。
Do you get my point?
对，所以我们
So the feelings
所以有
that
好多
make
我们
us
带给我们情绪，带给我们的烦恼
feel troubled
带给我们的
or
喜悦
joyful
这种叫做感受吧，都是
are not real.
所以站在大的
From a
时间概念
perspective
来
of
说
time and space,
你曾经的
your
烦恼
troubles arise
是
from your ignorant
由无
state
数
of
因素
mind.
所制造的。你曾经的
Your
快乐
joys are delusions that can be likened to the bubbles of hand soap.
肥皂泡当中
Soap bubbles are only a form of air.
外在因为
They
阳光的
occur
影响
because of
非常
sunlight,
反射的
which
光
makes them
芒
glisten,
得到的
and you
真
think you found treasure.
所以让你喜
So you're joyful.
其实人类的
Humans
变
can be
成
emotionally sensitive
敏感、易动，还叫易感。易是
or emotionally responsive
感是感受的感，易感也容易感
because of a split-second
容易一个
perception.
刹那间的感觉就带给自己
We respond emotionally.
所以这是人类
This is a key source of our
最大
troubles.
烦恼的来源之一。所以像内
Understanding of inner self
的内心对世界的认识，对世界认识
and the
的道理
universe
这个我讲这个部分可能
can
如果
go
深讲下
deeper.
去的话会解决我们很
It
多
would
的
resolve our
心理
physical
问题和精神的烦
and
恼
emotional ailments.
只是我想大家
Regarding your
不
mental
知
state,
道怎样子
I'll just touch on it a bit here since I don't know much.
对内认识
We should learn to understand
自己的
inner
内心
self.
为什么从内心
Why
讲
inner self?
因为很多事物很多疾病
Because life situations and
带给我们的
illnesses
人生的感受，有的人说
bring
我
us
经常觉得
troubled feelings
烦恼啊，有的人说我
or
经常好无
boredom
聊啊，有的人说我
or
根本没有
complaining
朋友
of
所以
no
我很
friends,
痛苦啊
painful
那个
life.
时候你交朋
Did you
友
try to make friends?
你把所有的人
You
都当
treated
作
everyone like an enemy.
很多人和好朋友
Use
在聊
young
天的
people
时候，
chatting
我曾经举一
as
个
an
年轻
example.
年轻人的例子。年轻人 A
Say A and B
跟
are
年
good
轻人
friends.
B 是好朋友，住得很近，
They are
常聊
neighbors
天
and chat
经常彼此
often.
请吃
They
饭
share meals and
经常
help
有
each
事情
other.
相互帮忙。有一次 A
A
跟 B 说
complains bitterly to B
我告诉你啊，我很痛苦。说那你说啥
because he doesn't
我
have
没
good
有好
friends.
朋友哎送给大家
Just take it as a joke.
当做一个笑话。那个
How would
B
B feel when he hears that?
一声不要催
If
我
B
就
were rude, he'd
我
say,
白帮你
I've wasted my time helping you,
我白帮你
wasted money
买
buying food for you,
对我白帮你
set you up
介绍
on
你女朋友
dates,
了对呀，你怎么
and you
不把我
don't
当
consider
朋
me
友
a friend
是我说你
and
不
tell
好
me you don't have friends?
对，所以
So our
这个
mental pain
人
is
人
often
类的精
caused
神内在的这个烦恼呢，有时候
by
是很少
ourselves.
的所以
When I was
年轻
young
的时候所谓有点
and was a
开悟的时
little
候就说
enlightened, I realized that
佛在
Buddha
心
sits
头
in
中
heart.
佛从心头
Demons arise in heart too.
所以有时候
Sometimes
我
both
们这个
Buddha
佛和魔
and
都是我们
demons
自己
are
内心
born
制造的
from our mental
说为什么
state.
烦呢？
Why do you feel
你就不
uneasy
是
and
想做
troubled?
人，你不想
Because you
好好
don't behave yourself.
还有
Neither do you have
没有
true love.
真爱。所以这样的人
These are
相
the
对也比
traits
较
of
自私
selfish people.
因为自私
Selfish people take
他
an
是用最
extremely
敏感的气
sensitive
去
perspective
感受去察觉
when
别人带
observing
给
the
我的伤害
behavior of
两个
others.
人
If a selfish
两个
person sees two
无辜的
innocent
走路人聊
strangers
天的时候，嘻嘻哈
chatting
哈的
and
时候，他就
giggling,
说
he
好
thinks
啊
he's
他们
being
在笑话
teased.
我。两个人
If
一
two
起骂人的时
strangers
候，
are
他们两
yelling,
个
he
一定
thinks
是在
the
骂我。
strangers are yelling at
对，
him.
所以
Some of
还
us
有
pick up coins
我
on
们
the
可以
street,
在地上去捡钱、捡东西，还有人
and
捡
some pick up scorn.
就是人类的脆
This is the
就
vulnerability
是
of
没有一
mankind
个
and the lack
宽
of a big
阔
heart.
而博大的胸怀那么
A small heart
相
means
反
you're
自
selfish.
私总是害
You
怕
fear that you give too much
付出太多，总害怕
and
自
fear
己
that you're misunderstood.
不被别人理解通常来
The
说
fear
这
is
个
caused
自
by
信
lack
造
of self-confidence
用
due to
没有
ignorance and lack of
知
ability. When you don't receive recognition, you slowly lose self-confidence. It's everyone else's fault. You may make negative judgments about people and become isolated at last. To step out of such mental ailments, expand your heart. If you have loved ones, do your best to serve them. Leave that lonely feeling and start to love another person, and then love a third one. I'm not talking about girlfriends. I'm talking about offering more help to friends. Slowly, your heart is expanded, and the troubles melt away. When we look into our heart, how many problems do we have? I'm just scratching the surface here. What's in our heart determines our action. Benefits of meditation. Internal. Understanding of inner self. With gradual understanding of my teachings and meditation practice, health starts to improve. The more we meditate, the healthier we are. Sometimes ailments and diseases have causes that we'll never know. To heal many diseases, spending time on meditation is essential. Weigh the importance of health versus income. You have to be clear on this. Just like car maintenance, if you know that there are issues, but you ignore them and keep driving, your car might be on and off until finally your car is dead and you're stranded in a place without assistance with a malfunctioned car. What about your body? You need to have regular physical checkups and consult with your doctor if necessary. Don't use the excuse of working for your family. The stress comes from yourself. If you can let go, there will be no stress. Sometimes I admire people with simple minds. They live in a hovel, but they're happy. How is it possible that they are so happy? They say, I don't have a mortgage. That's a good attitude toward life. Happiness has nothing to do with how much money you have. It's about how you view the universe and manage your mental world. After we study meditation, our health will improve as practice time accumulates. Such accumulation is what improves our health. I talked about the causes of diseases in the last class. Let me tell you now, with the right training, health can be improved. For example, energy level is increased. In cases where unbalanced energy causes illnesses, through meditation practice, the balance of energy is restored and health is gained. There are people whose ailments linger for years or never get cured. It happens to immortals in Chinese folklore. Their records. Have you heard the 8 immortals? The elderly know. This folklore. One of the 8 immortals, Li, is a disabled man with crutches. There are no wheelchairs at that time, otherwise Li would have used one. Then people would have said, if cars were invented earlier, that Li's wheelchair would have run on its own, solar-powered with no need for fuel. Or he uses his mind to control it. In other words, enlightened people might still have imperfections that are permanent. Why? I have a couple of explanations. First, there's no absolute perfection on earth, only relative perfection. There's no absolute perfect human. Perhaps someone is a great philosopher, but he's physically challenged. I knew a scientist who possessed incredible mathematical abilities. He's a world-class master with an imperfection. When he entertained his guests, he'd get drunk to the extent that he became a fool. When he was drunk, I'm sure the waiters couldn't tell he was a famous scientist. They thought he was a lunatic. Yet, once he sobered up and put on a suit and tie, he went back to being a scientist. There are no perfect humans. Gain more understanding of the world and accept it wholeheartedly. When you associate with family and friends, do you have high expectations of them? You thought someone was wonderful until you realized his excrement smelled horrible. Accept him as he is. If you were to compare yours with his, you're even. Yes, make it a competition. It sounds crude. However, such crudeness is in everybody. This is a natural phenomenon of being alive. Benefit of meditation: improve your health, replenish your energy. Aside from the being imperfect, Li the cripple demonstrates that you can't escape karma. Maybe he broke someone's leg, even though the person had helped him. Therefore, this person holds a grudge. Instead of repaying his gratitude to this person, Li repaid him with harm. I'm just guessing. I hope, upon hearing this, Li won't get mad. Anger might cause an issue with his other leg. Too bad. Just joking. Immortals shouldn't quibble with mortals. Karma erupts when the time is right. For example, you suddenly become deaf at age 40. There are worse cases where others are born disabled. Poor parents deciding between abandoning the child and caring for him for a lifetime. How much patience and effort. I have deep respect for families with kids born disabled. Compared to the average family, they invest a lot more effort. I've seen many parents like this. Many years ago in mainland China, there was a scientist couple whom I think conduct scientific researches. They were famous chemists in China. One was in the top 10 in the country, and both were also chemistry researchers. Their kids, however, were strange. I'd never seen such weird kids before. They had the intelligence of a 6-month-old, though they were 17 years old. The mom was suffering so much that she had chronic cold sores. She had no way to release the suffering. It was impossible to abandon them or kill them. That was indeed great suffering. What does this come down to? Karma. What is karma then? Karma is the effect of an action. There is positive karma, neutral karma, as well as negative karma. Deciding what to make for dinner does not generate any negative karma. But if you butchered a pig to serve at dinner, or maybe roasted a pig for dinner, that generates negative karma. Actions that cause no harm aren't an issue. Then there are actions that cause harm, and there's a type of action that protects others from harm. Given these three types of karma, I'm talking about negative karma. Negative karma can be caused by the acquisition of wealth by killing or cheating. Say someone doesn't inflict physical harm, but cheated others of their fortune or wealth and made them bankrupt, causing them the pain of living in poverty and struggling to survive. This creates a lot of negative karma. What's the effect of negative karma? The one who activates negative karma shoulders the effect. For example, nobody saw you steal, but the moment you committed the act is recorded by nature, through the air that surrounds you. On this living earth, the earth itself is alive and is able to record the act. Thus, the effect is already underway. As for the effects, as mentioned, actions can generate good, neutral, or negative karma. Harmful actions generate negative karma. Some are born with congenital issues, while others fall ill at a specific time. I've met all kinds of people with all kinds of fates. Some were extremely wealthy once, millionaires, billionaires. A couple decades later, they were penniless, robbed blind by others, because they too cheated others. That's how their wealth disappeared. Some never cheated in this lifetime and worked diligently at their trade, but still wound up penniless. Perhaps are bad deeds of another life, or that of their ancestors, had ripened in this lifetime. Negative karma is an extremely sticky issue to deal with. The founder of Buddhism, Sakyamuni Buddha, dealt with this. On facing negative karma, how did he deal with it? Here's how. His cousin, Devadatta, plotted against him. While Buddha preached true Dharma, his cousin acted against that by preaching the false Dharma, with the hope of influencing others, with his evil in intention. Differentiating the two was difficult. Because they were cousins and came from the same imperial family, there was nothing suspicious. It was hard to tell the difference. Devadatta's preaching of false dharma angered Sakyamuni at first, but only for a while. As Sakyamuni grew older and was in his 80s, he would tell his disciples, "My cousin should be considered a manifestation of Buddha. We are in a competition. If there is no competition, then even a Buddha would take it easy. Meditating alone is our choice. The serenity is comfortable, with no enemies in my retreat. I enjoy tranquility and freedom." As the ancient Chinese poets said, out of 3 realms, out of 5 elements, free like wild cranes in the sky. This is the liberated state Chinese intellectuals yearn for on the spiritual journey. There are paintings of hermits. Check them out online. Explanation of hermits using Chinese characters. The paintings are often composed of a mountain and an elderly person with a child in tow, or a person leads a donkey. Other paintings have snow-covered mountains and a person with a fishing rod fishing alone. What does it all mean? These people have transcended desires for money, power, happiness, prosperity. Hermits say, I'm one with mountains, water, sky, and earth. No competition, no attachment. Once upon a time, there was a famous scholar in the imperial court. With power comes competition. Never-ending competition. He decided to resign from his position and retreated into the mountains, to be free like mountains and springs, to feel the calmness found only there, to feel the nourishment of the breeze, and to be companion to the cranes. A new emperor took the throne. This may have happened in Tang Dynasty. The new emperor knew that this scholar was competent, talented, and stalwartly upright. He sent a messenger to convince him to come back to court. The scholar was found on a snowy mountain. He sat next to a fishing rod. The river had frozen over, but there he was with his rod. The messenger explained his mission and said, "You appear to be so lonely, without even a servant. It's so cold and desolate here. Why are you sitting here?" The scholar answered, "I'm catching snow. Most people catch fish, but I catch snow. Did you catch any snow?" "I caught an entire hill of snow." The messenger asked, "Are you lonely?" The scholar said, "Peace is rare." The scholar had withdrawn from heartless competition. At the cost of blood and loved ones, he retreated from so-called prosperity. Sakyamuni Buddha was no different. He preferred peace too. He was enlightened after 7 years of meditation. Wouldn't he have liked to stay in that meditative state? But fate said, "Buddha has practiced for 7 years. It's time to graduate from meditation." To covet staying in a meditative state would constitute greed. So his cousin, Devadatta, was sent to spread false dharma so that Sakyamuni would be lured out to spread the true dharma and tell all not to trust Devadatta. Devadatta was full of energy. Even though his dharma was false, he was always energetic enough to lead Sakyamuni on a merry chase from one province to another. If Devadatta was coming here, Sakyamuni would grab his horse and hurry to Singapore to deliver public teachings so that Singaporeans wouldn't be led astray. Yes, that's the way. So Devadatta forced Buddha to hurry about spreading true Dharma. In Sakyamuni Buddha's old age, he became truly enlightened and told his disciples not to hurt Devadatta, as he was sent to inspire Sakyamuni. He wished to be left in peace too, not running around like crazy, constantly exhausted and irritated, faced with acclimatization and language barriers. Despite how hard it was, I had to because my cousin ran fast, Buddha said. In hindsight, an awful situation may not be so bad. Your mental elevation and expansiveness determine your perception of things. Buddha thought that if Devadatta's appearance was negative karma from his past life, so Buddha responded, "You teach your false dharma, so no matter if it is my negative karma or not, I need right mindfulness, thoughts and action to counter the negative karma. Though you torment me, I put in more effort in preaching the true dharma. This is true cultivation and the only way to face karmic troubles. In the face of negative karma, it would be wrong for Buddha to say, Devadatta's evil is due to suffering by my hand in another life, so I'll just surrender. Will he? No. Only through spreading true dharma would Buddha make up for past sins. So when facing your own troubles or negative karma, only continued self-cultivation can bring transformation. With meditation, face troubles and bad karma. With right mindfulness, right thoughts, and right actions. Everyone must be tired of sitting. Slowly bend forward and rotate your upper torso from the waist. Move your body around. Many are inexperienced meditators. Your back is probably hurting. Not bad. Everybody is persevering. If you can persevere, then you have potential in meditation. From my experience, I can tell you that when you meditate, especially in deeper meditative states, your past and future compress. When you're a novice meditator, after an hour of meditation, countless changes have occurred inside your body. Sometimes you feel sore, sometimes pain, sometimes numb, and at other times hatred, saying, I think I've come to the wrong place. To hear you laugh, I guess you've had this experience, right? Karma. This is what happens. During meditation, especially when you're practicing in a compassionate state, past experiences are being compressed. If you dedicate yourself to cultivation and chant for Buddha and Bodhisattvas, negative karma is clearing. While your karma is clearing, you are also gaining immeasurable merit. That's why you experience bitterness during meditation. Not the bitterness of food, but numbness, pain, and swelling. As if something is ticking within, scolding or cursing you.
的6种反应。
all kinds of sensations.
其实还有呢，
There's one
在
more
街上还有
actually.
蚂蚁爬，
Ants
有没有这
crawling
种
on
感
you.
觉？
Has
旁边
anyone
有小
felt
虫
that?
在爬，
Insects crawling
有
on
蚂蚁
you?
爬的请举手。
Raise your hand.
我是指这
I'm
在
talking
这个
about
屋里坐的，
imaginary ants,
不是在
not
树林里
ants
坐
in
的。
the forest.
树林里坐的
Those
蚂
are
蚁爬
real
是真
ants.
蚂蚁爬，这里坐的蚂蚁爬
Here
是
they
假
are
的，是一
imaginary.
个好事情。
It's a good thing,
尤其是
especially
当
when
你
you're
在这做梦的时候，
meditating
你
here
脸痒
and
的
your
时候，
face starts
尽量不
itching.
要去挠
Try
不要
not to
去
touch
打
your face.
哎，那个是在美容。
That is a face massage.
是，就是
During
我们在修的时候，
meditation,
我们这些身
When
体的
feeling
感受
such
啊，就是
sensations,
在改变着
you're
我们过去
changing
的
your
记忆。
karma.
所以我们在
So
这
the
里也
pain
住
you
1个小
feel
时
in an hour here
佛陀帮我
may
们
have
解
caused
决的可
Buddha
能
to
是
resolve
曾
your
经
negative
一生
karma
一世的积
accumulated
累，
in a life.
让你感受这
And
种
that's
痛。
why you feel
我
pain.
在
When I
年轻时候
practiced
修的
as a
时候
young
啊，
man,
曾经若
I
干
lost
次的
track of the
不
soreness
知道
and
是酸
pain.
还是痛，反正让我痛
They
苦
were
到
so
我觉得
bad
杀
that
死
I
我算
felt
了，
like
就
giving
当
up on
是
life.
这样
That's how
想。
I thought.
到后来我才
Later,
更
it
清楚，
became
就
clear
是
to
把我
me
们过
that
去的
because
岁
of
月
negative
被
karma
时光压缩了，
has been
尤
compressed
其
through
让我们感
time,
受到
the
伤和
soreness and
痛
pain,
啊，对，
as
我
well
们
as
感受到
other
这些不舒服的
discomforts,
伤和痛的东
aches
西，
and
都
soreness
是我们
are the
曾经的
consequences
伤
of
害，
injuries
曾经给
inflicted
其
on
他
other
生
sentient
命的伤
beings.
害，所以让我们
You feel
能够压缩
pain
了
in
时
this
空的
time
痛，
warp.
这1个小时，
Imagine
如
that
果
in
能够
1
了解
hour,
一
an
生一世
entire
的罪业
lifetime
的
of
话，
negative
那就
karma
赚
is
了。
cleared. What a deal!
You're
here to improve your life,
对不对？
right?
都想让自己活
You
得
all
更
want to be
健康啊，
healthier,
更幸福
happier,
啊，或者更能欣
or
赏自己，
luckier.
而来到
So you
这里
come
来修行。
here to meditate.
但是我
What you
们
don't
通常不
know
知道的是，
is that
如果只
if
为
you're
好
only here to gain,
来修行，你不知道这
but
个
have
根
no
本
idea
没
of
有做，
debt, it's
所
useless.
以要先了
You need
过
to
去的。
repay your debts for sure.
比如说你过去，
Say you've killed 100
杀了100
people in a
个人，
previous life.
因为你
due
不
to
知道
your
你过去是做
professions.
什么的，强盗、
Maybe you were a bandit or a soldier, who
开飞
knows?
店的，都可能啊。大家听不懂。
Do you
开飞
know
店
the
的
kind of shop
卖假货
that
呀，
sells
你
contraband?
来吃饭，觉得你
The
个
kind
人
of
身上带
shop,
了不少
if
钱，
you're a
多放点
traveler,
蒙
your
汗药
food could be
吃
drugged,
完之后就
and you
晕倒，
pass out after
晕
eating
倒了之后，
Then
就
the
把你
thugs
拿
chop you
大
up
刀一剁，再把你
to
当成肉
use in
包
meat
子。
buns.
水浒传里这句
Like
话，
in Outlaws of the
其实古
Marsh,
人也
they
很
were
实
true
在的
killers and they really
真
chopped
拿刀
people
剁
up.
呀，啊，对，那
Could
你会不
you,
会就
by
是那
any
位
chance,
卖人肉
be the
包子
bun
的？
seller?
你是不是
Could
就
you
是
be the
那位
notorious
杀
thug?
人越货的强盗呢？你
Could
是
you
不是
be the
曾经的
thief?
惯偷？你是
Could
不
you
是
be
那
the
位骗子？
swindler?
不一定。
You could be anything.
有人说你
Some
太
might
做
think
作了，
that's
那我想做
impossible.
个测试。
Let's do an experiment.
你长到今
Have
天
you
这么大，
ever
没有偷过一
stolen
点东西的
anything in
人
this
请举手。
lifetime? Raise your hand if you have.
还有
Have you lied
没有骗
before?
过人的人举手。大家都是
Everyone's
这
a
样
thief
有
and
的
a
是
liar.
兼职骗子，有的人
Some
骗财
cheat
骗
at
色骗
everything.
情骗爱，什么都骗，对不对？你
Right?
在座的
There's
都
not
不是好
one
人呀，
perfect person.
你们
You're
都
all
已经有资
qualified
格
to
入
join
黑
a
社会了。
gang.
你在这么一
You're
个
all
文明的
living
国
in a
家都是个
civilized
骗子，你
country,
是想
and
做
yet
得好？
you're all liars and
那你在
thieves.
过去不文明的
Perhaps
时候
in
干过的坏
uncivilized
事，
times you did countless
你也
bad
早记不
deeds.
清了，
You
你
can't
坏事太
remember.
多，
Too many
记不
bad
清，
deeds to remember,
对不
right?
对？所以我们曾经的
The
伤
harm
害
you
给别人伤
perpetrated
害，
on
其
others
实这个能量会
circled back to
反射到
manifest in your
你
this
自己的生
lifetime.
命之中啊，永远
You
都
can't
不能
escape karma.
为什么有很多人
Why is it that many people
就是想做
forever
什么
chase
所谓的
things in this life
想
without
发财
success?
好
When they
你
chase
的
after
你的
wealth,
手边
money
如果
slips
就不
through
顺
their
利，
fingers. The money
还有的
doesn't
人这
belong
个
to
钱
them.
刚
Some
我
might
手
have
有满
acquired
了，
wealth,
一抬头
but
挠
it
痒
slips
痒，
away
想
after a while.
像那个青蛙一
Like the
样，
frog you
我有会
catch.
以为是自己的，
It's
一不小
yours
心
while
一
it's in
抬
your
手是
hand,
老鼠
but it
啊，
escapes when you lose your
这
grip.
个是个金蝉
It's a
啊，
golden frog, if you know what I
这种
mean.
人多了，
Many people
对
go
不
through
对？
life like
有一个
this.
好的
Some
男女
lose
朋
a
友的
good
这样的对
partner
象啊，你不好好
because
珍
they
惜，
don't cherish him or her.
溜跑了。为什么发生
Why do these tragedies happen?
业力。
negative karma.
有人说，哎，
Some don't think themselves
他
intelligent.
为什么头脑不
Why aren't they intelligent?
业力？
Negative karma.
说
Some might say it's hereditary. His parents aren't so bright either. Then how come he ended up
父母亲把你生下来的？
as his not so bright parents' child? Negative karma. He got the wrong parents. Karma determines the parents.
无从
There's no other
我
way
也
to
思考过，
explain
我们
this.
不用这个
I
业
tried other
这个概念
explanations
好
than
不好？
karma,
找不到答案，
but couldn't find another answer
没有地方可以寻找它的正确的答案
that fits the concept.
啊，所以就是业力。
So karma is the answer.
改
How do
业
we
力
change karma?
同样就是多积极
Accumulate
多行
merit by doing good deeds.
多做善事，还有更省事
Provide for senior meditators.
去供养大修行人啊，
Donate your money
捐
or
献自己的
capability
财务能力去帮助
to
那些
help
灾
those
区
in
真正受灾
disaster
的人
areas.
啊，做善事。
That's a charitable act.
佛
Sakyamuni
祖释迦牟尼
Buddha
告诉我们有几项东西
set
不
some
能做
rules.
啊，只有成为弟子
For
才能
those who are
我今天给你讲
disciples,
几
I
句
will run through them briefly.
不杀生，
No killing,
不偷盗，
no stealing,
不邪淫，
no sexual misconduct, no lying,
不酗酒。
no liquor.
这后来就是我
The
的
following are rules I added: no drugs, no gambling,
归
no eating turtles, snakes, or dogs, and no cannibalism.
说我没规定
People
它有
may
质量
eat whatever is not on the list.
比较贵的别
Finally, don't eat very expensive
不
food.
一定好，是好
Expensive food isn't always good.
还有少吃燕窝。
Don't eat much swallow's nest.
这个我说少吃燕窝，大家同不同意？
Do you agree?
燕窝贵
Yes.
不贵啊？
Swallow's nest is expensive, right?
买点银
Yes.
耳就可以了。
Just substitute it with white mushrooms.
这燕窝真有那么
Is
好？
swallow's nest really
但
that
燕窝的人一
great?
定说得好
The vendor will
你
definitely
卖
say
燕窝的人
yes.
天天吃
But does he
燕
eat
窝
it all day, every day?
肯定不吃，
Definitely not, right?
对不对？我就不细讲。
I'll skip the negative effects of bird's nest.
所以我们
To
要
change your
想
lives
这样
for the better,
我们刚才说的
follow
不但不
those
做
rules
而且像
and also do the
不杀
opposite.
生
Instead of
反而
killing,
爱护众生
protect all sentient beings.
不偷盗，
Instead of
而
stealing,
常行布施
donate to
布施
worthy
是社会
causes.
给予
It means giving
你有
or
做过吗
offering. Have you ever donated?
没有吧？
No?
有的男说我
A
男
man
的就说
says,
我
I helped my
帮助
mother-in-law.
我丈母娘，那是应该的啊，
That's what he
那不叫
should
布施
do.
好吧？
That's not
是
contributing.
无奈，
They have to.
谁乐意帮？
Many
丈母娘
aren't fond of their
为了娶个
mother-in-law,
媳妇的
but for your
话
wife's sake, you should help her out.
还有说我经常帮
Some
我老
say,
婆做事
I help out my wife a lot.
哪个男人
Is there any
不帮
husband
老
who
婆
won't
做
help
事
his
就死定
wife?
了啊那是人在屋
You're
檐
living
下，
under
不
the
能
same roof, so you have to.
啊，不邪淫，
No sexual misconduct. Such acts bring family problems as well as emotional stress. Sometimes two families are broken. Not only does your family suffer, but another family does too.
不妄语，
No lying is the toughest rule.
不妄语，
That means no lies at all. Who doesn't
可
lie,
以做到这一步
right?
但
That's
是
why it's
无
tough.
所谓的
White lies
骗人
can be
的话就没
pardoned.
关系了啊，就是有朋友
A
问
friend
吃了吗
asks if you've eaten.
其实觉得
You
对
know
方
he's a
因为很
cheapskate,
吝啬你就说
so you say you've eaten.
这无
Such
所谓，反正
cases
不伤
don't
害
matter
我说没有
because it
吃
doesn't hurt.
对方说
Even
没
if you
吃就
answered
算
otherwise, he's stingy and would
这
say,
很气
too
人的
bad. To avoid the
所以我通
scenario,
常回答的时候
I
我也
often
是看人
respond
我才回答
based on who I'm talking to.
所以回答有时候也不
Sometimes
叫骗人
untrue replies
分
aren't
对方
lies.
的情况
You're just replying after analyzing
和一贯的行为来回答吃了
the person's nature and
这个不属于
behavior.
骗人
It's
是没有
not
罪过的
lying,
好吧
and there's no guilt attached.
那么我们如果
To change your fate for the
说的
better,
更直白一些，
to put it
就是
bluntly,
说要
you
做
need to
善
do more good
要做
deeds.
善行啊，在佛经里
Buddhist
记载
scriptures have recorded how doing good deeds changes one's
有很多
fate.
种善行
There are many kinds of good deeds.
注意
Help print a Buddhist
非常
scripture
受
that
用的那部
benefited
佛
you.
经啊，
support an eminent master who's achieved great merits.
功德福德具足的大修行者。
Such a master can alleviate your karma to the extent that you are spared from hell, or it's possible that all your negative karma will clear. Supporting an average self-cultivator is enough to keep you from hell. But an eminent meditator has immense wisdom and light. From helping so many people, his energy and auspiciousness, or just a word from him, could erase all your negative karma. It's no different than a mediator refereeing a debtor and lender. When asked, the lender says that he's owed $2 million. The mediator offers $3 million. He would warn against lending money from now on, and don't lie to people. The lender promises to change. Issue resolved. An accomplished practitioner can use his blessings and merit for the benefit of all sentient beings, saving those who have affinity with him from hell, to be reborn in the preferred Pure Lands. That is to say, the Western Pure Land, or the eastern land of Lapis Lazuli, as long as they have such a wish. Of course, those who live happily don't think of such things, but energy of cumulative merit makes it possible to do this. Transform fate by doing fewer bad deeds and more good deeds. I have an elderly relative who passed away. Before this, when he was still alive, he worked in government. As he aged, his health worsened. I sent someone to teach him. He didn't have the chance to learn from me. He lived in mainland China. He practiced meditation of greater illumination, chanting, and prostration. He had refused at first. Then the doctor told him that they couldn't do much for him. His diabetes was so bad that he was almost blind and could barely walk on his own. Quite serious, right? Finally, he decided to practice. His daily practice averaged between 4 hours and 7 hours for 3 to 4 years. One day, he said to his family, I thought the Buddhas were invented by people. But I see for myself that Buddha is here floating in the sky, talking with me and smiling at me with other Buddhas behind him. He asked why he was seeing so many Buddhas. His family thought he was seeing ghosts and they were scared. He saw the Buddhas. He wasn't lying. You could tell from his expression and tone. He could describe in detail the garments that each Buddha wore and what they looked like. He also heard celestial music. 2 hours later, he passed. He was counting the Buddhas one by one. He saw so many that he lost count. He died auspiciously, not from disease, at over 80 years old. Yes, that's what happened. It is very special. Those of us living now should try to live healthier and freely. How powerful the energy from meditation practice is. Those who have meditated a short time will experience many physiological changes. Testimonials over the last 2 days are good examples. You can learn from each other about the benefits of Bodhi meditation. For those present today who has benefited from Bodhi meditation, please raise your hand. That's many. Hands down, please.
所以
There are
我们
many
在现实
different
之中
reactions.
我们有很多感受，除了有些疾
Some
病
diseases
在
are slowly
慢慢淡化
transformed.
会变好，或者
Some
变
will
轻
be
了
lessened,
有的真的
and
就痊愈
others
了
will be
还
fully
有更多
gone.
的生理
There
上
are
的
other physical reactions. For example, your
搓
hands
一搓就知道了，变得光滑。
become smooth.
还有很多人是
Many
干净的
people with
皮肤
dry
哈
skin
你的手上
have
从来没
never
有
had
滋润
smooth
过
hands.
就是一只手
Some
上出
people's
汗没有
palms
这种
don't
人吧
sweat.
这种人大约有
About
10%
10%
这么大
of the population doesn't sweat.
修一段时间之后
After a
多一个
period
月
of
你的
practice,
手
about a month,
你的脚
your
会
hands
出
and
汗
feet, as well as your
人越该出
body,
汗
will
出
start
汗
to
了还不能
sweat.
憋死
Not sweating means there's a blockage.
还能说明什么
If
呢
you can sweat,
你手臂的
your
经络
meridians in your arms are open.
就这么大的
That's how much energy comes from meditation. It's amazing that many diseases disappeared.
老年人的
Let's
美
talk
容
about skincare for the
人上了岁
elderly.
数之后哈
As people
60
age,
岁过
from
后
60
好多人
onward,
开始长老
many
年
get
斑
age spots
脸上
on their
手臂
face,
上
arms, and
老
body.
年斑对不对有些人练
Many
长有
age spots
比较快的话是3个月以后
begin to fade
老年
after
斑
3
才
months
退
of
场
practice.
我们就拿这个
Let's
现象
discuss
讨
this
论这个事
phenomenon constructively.
我们说疾病好了
Sharing
好像在
stories
这
of
里就变成
recovery is
常
common
见
here,
其实也是
not
一种心
rare.
理的能量
It's due to the incredible
也正是
energy
说
produced in
释迦牟尼佛
meditation
为什么
that
成佛的
explains
原因
how Sakyamuni Buddha attained
他修了7
Buddhahood.
年半
He
之久
achieved it
7
after
年半到
practicing
8
about
年
7.5 to almost 8 years. As a young meditator, he accumulated sufficient energy to awaken.
我们先不要说
Putting
他
aside
是
whether he was
佛是
Buddha
佛
or Bodhisattva in a previous life, he awakened wisdom with persistent
所以
practice.
我们到
For
中年到老
middle-aged
年
or
我们
elderly
身体发生
practitioners,
这么多的
physical
变化
changes
老年斑都
occur,
能去掉
such as age
还有
spots
老人家
disappearing. Some
我们
elderly
正常的牙齿
practitioners
都掉
had
了之
previously
后
lost teeth.
还有老人家
There are
修炼
cases of teeth
1年到2
regrowing
年之后
after
新
1
牙
or 2
长出来
years of practice.
是真的
These are true stories.
所以
Sakyamuni Buddha,
释迦
along
牟尼
with
佛
many
和很多为我们的
of our ancestors who meditated,
他们
attained
修到了智
incredible
慧大
wisdom
开还有
and
有的
bodies
是
that didn't
肉体的
decay.
束缚在中国
In the
很
mountains
多
of
个
China
山头
and
乃
India,
至到印度
there are
都有
many
啊
accounts
只
of
是在
this.
印度的我
I'm
不是
not
特别
sure
了解
about
中国我
India,
知道有
but
好
I'm
多
sure
山
about
有
China.
这个问题
Take the
现在
example from the
山
Shaanxi
西山西
province.
中国的山
Do you know
西
about
省
Shaanxi
有五台
province?
山那个省
Mount
啊
Wutai
山西
is
省有一座
located
山的
there.
山洞里面
There's a cave
有大约12尊佛像
with roughly 12
罗汉像佛
statues
像
of arhats.
表面上看是泥胎
They appear to be made of clay,
其实呢
but are the remains of 12
成真的
meditators.
修行者是修到了之后
They
人
attained the
老成
level
了
at
但是他
which
的肉体是不腐烂
bodies don't decay.
也称为叫
They're
肉身
called full body bodhisattvas,
啊也有人把它叫金身
or the
啊
golden
那
arhats.
么后人呢
After the
这个
meditators
怎么来处理
died,
这个事情呢当地的他的弟
their
子所
disciples
呢就用
painted
在
their
他的身
bodies
上肉体
with
上涂上
gold
金漆之后再往上泥塑
and
像对
covered
佛像
them
一样
with
泥塑
clay,
泥塑
just like
再塑
clay
成一个表面
Buddhas.
上看不到那
Although
个
the
真人
bodies were
但是
covered,
表面的脸像
they
他
look the
所有的人
same
一样
as when they are
塑成
alive.
这样的泥
The
像
statues have lasted
1000年了
for more than 1,000
就
years
在山西
in a cave in
山洞
Shaanxi
那个叫什么
province.
名字我
I forgot what's the cave called.
就前几天我
A
看
couple
到
of days ago, I watched a documentary from China.
这个不是虚假
It's not fiction, it's true.
因为有一个人
There was a man,
到那个山洞里
a shepherd,
下大
with
雨
a
的时候
sheep
他到山
who
顶上
ducked
养
into the cave
雷雨交
to
加的时候
escape
他
a
就找
downpour.
地方躲哎
The cave was
是
dark,
个山洞啊哎里面又没有
and he
灯
didn't
火
have a torch.
哎等他无意中一摸
He touched
摸到个人骨
what
头
felt like human
摸到一
bones.
些人骨
He was
头呀
scared to
吓
death
死他了
when he touched some teeth.
就吓坏了最后带人上去看
Later,
之后
he led others to the
里头
cave
有
and found
10多
more
尊
than 10
这样的像
statues,
还有的像那么露的
some
人骨
exposed
这怎
skeletons.
么回事啊
Everyone wondered
后来
what had happened.
考古的
Archaeologists
走进去之后
later
发
discovered
现哇
the statues were
这是整个
intact
全世界
Buddhist
修行者历
relics,
史啊不腐烂的
whole bodies
为
that
什么
hadn't
人会这样
decayed.
子呢
How could this
那
be?
有的人没死过就不知
People
道
may
死了之
think
后有可
that
能
if a body
被人
dries
烤
up,
干之后
It will not rot or decay. Well, not really. One would still decay. Yet there were more than 10 bodies that didn't decay and were covered in gold and clay and had survived as full-body Buddhist relic statues. The statues still sit in that cave. After undergoing restoration work, some had suffered damage during wars. So the damage was repaired, and they still sit there. Sakyamuni Buddha, before dying, instructed that his body be cremated. After cremation, there were many Buddha relics. Today, there are Buddha relics around the world that have been confirmed to be relics of Sakyamuni Buddha. I believe that many meditators in Thailand, Burma, and other countries attained Buddhahood and left behind Buddhist relics. Some relics are a piece of bone or transparent multicolored beads. I've seen relics that are like gold. There was an old Bodhi disciple who died. I can assure you that he didn't wear jewelry, didn't have gold teeth, and had no surgical metal in his body. His body contained nothing metallic. After cremation, I collected the ashes and found 130 relics when combined all together. Very beautiful and special indeed. When practitioners get to a certain level, their body changes at the core. Everyone has watched the video, The Miraculous Messages from Water. Our bodies are about 70% water. Let's not question that. Perhaps after much practice, some of the body's water transforms into a carbonized entity, like diamonds. The hardness of Buddhist relics often is rated between 8 and 10, close to that of a diamond. That's really hard. For people who meditate a lot, there aren't logical answers to explain an enlightened body. The fact is, they've transformed. How? I'm not sure everyone knows this. I believe the instigator is an all-compassionate heart. After clearly seeing natural laws, you shall feel free, and you'll be able to let go of attachments. Understanding that, you can cast away all attachments to release yourself. You have a compassionate heart. Without asking for more, you have the desire to give of yourself. This is the best possible way. You feel no stress at all. Everyone always asks for more, whereas you give more and more, so you're totally relaxed. As well, you're meditating using the most correct methods, so your body undergoes change. How powerful is this energy then? For most beginners, disease improve. After 7 years of practice, is it possible to, like the Buddha after cremation, leave behind Buddhist relics? It's possible. Sakyamuni Buddha said, everyone can attain Buddhahood. With correct practices, if you keep practicing like this, you shall attain Buddhahood. Through practice, age spots fade, body gets stronger, and aches and pains disappear. If you continue practicing, through the accumulation of energy, your body transforms into a state beyond human comprehension. This is why many practitioners gain wisdom. An inexperienced meditator may think he has no wisdom. In fact, there's a reason in the human body. Through practice, the human body actually transforms. Let's say elements of A, B, and C formed your physical body. Those elements become diamonds, agates, and rubies. Of course, the body changes. A non-practitioner leaves behind ash upon cremation. That's not to say that all accomplished practitioners leave behind relics. That's decided by karma. But I would say that about half of accomplished practitioners, especially those who meditate diligently using my methods instead of simply subscribing to a belief system, will leave behind relics. Don't come to me tomorrow bringing fake relics made of dead cells and dirt. I can see through them. I can produce fake and soft relics too. I'm talking about true transformation. We're not going after relics, you see. Relics are messages to you that your practice not only transforms your mind, but also transforms your human body. Why do you get healthier and finally learn to let go of things after practicing? How come practicing helps you bicker less with your spouse? You feel that there's nothing to bicker about. Why? Your brain has evolved. The blood vessels in your brain have expanded. Trifling matters no longer seem like obstacles to you. After practicing, you no longer care when someone scolds you, or your colleague gets a raise but you don't, or even when your boss criticizes you. You are in a tranquil state of being. Nothing seems to worry you. You have a more open heart. The same problems that made you suffer emotionally don't bother you anymore. A practitioner once said, "After 4 days of practice, I no longer scold my spouse. After 6 days, I cooked a nice meal for my spouse. After 16 days, she might give him a massage." Why? Your inner self is transforming. Aside from cognitive change, something inside has changed too, and you've become wiser. You used to get mad for no reason. You had narrow blood vessels. Your brain was dull from lack of oxygen and blood flow. Your head was muddled. After meditation, improved blood flow allows your brain to function better and brings wisdom. After even more meditation, you'll transform at a cellular level. Every one of your cells will shine forth with the light of compassion. You gain great wisdom, so you're not only able to manage your spouse, but also your business. You can go from staff member to boss. It's all possible. A disciple invited me for a meal. He had recovered from an illness. I couldn't find a toothpick, so I used a chopstick to pick. He was puzzled. "Are you fixing your teeth?" "I don't have a toothpick." "You must be really enlightened." "What?" I replied. "A chopstick instead of a toothpick." "That's nothing." "I could use a rolling pin," I said. It's no big deal to let go of your ego when there's no harm involved. I don't mind being made fun of. It's not as though I've sinned. I'm just trying to be human, and that's no big deal. Letting go of your pride and shame means letting go of unnecessary troubles and burdens caused by minuscule issues. We find that with practice, we become much more big-hearted. When you practice to the point where our body shines at a cellular level with wisdom and energy like diamonds, then our life will have truly changed. Just look at the Buddha light cast from the relics housed at Faman Temple in Xi'an. Meditation changes you inside and out. Your lives will be transformed. I was like a piece of rotten wood. When I was a child, I had no intelligence.
所以以前老师怎么
How
教我
difficult for my teacher.
我小学的学校
My
的老
teacher
师
would
就
ask
教我
us,
加强一加
How
一
much is
等于
1
几
plus
我们
1?
就说二
All the students answered 2.
过后
I would echo
来
2.
问我
When I was
二
asked
一加等于
again,
几
How much is 1 plus 1? I didn't
刚才不
know.
是说了吗？几
You had an
忘了
answer?
真说不出来
Yes, but I
等于
forgot.
几就等于几
Whatever you say is the
不
answer.
知道，
I was like that.
所以经常就是这个样子。所以有一次
Once,
啊
my
要
mom
考试
knew I had a
我妈妈也
test.
知道啊，我妈妈干活回来
She was home from work, and I came home
考试了，我得
to
第一
report that I was first in the class.
我妈说从哪
My mom asked if the count began at the top or the bottom.
最后一个也算第一。
The bottom.
好，那么到第二年，
The next year, however, I was a little smarter.
妈，我这次好了。我
Mom,
毕业
I
了
didn't
我考
come
了
in
40
first this
分
time.
我妈
I
说
scored 40
40
points. For how many subjects? She asked. For 3 subjects.
3门功课，因为最高
The
分
perfect
一门
score
最高
was
分
100 each.
我3门功课
I thought I had done better,
加起来40分。
earning 40 points in total.
所以大家不要小看你
So
自己，
don't look down on
不要小
yourself
看你的孩子，
or your
不要
kids
小看你的朋友。
or your friends.
今天的弱智，
Feeling
今天的无能
inept,
今天的
incompetent,
懦弱，
weak,
还有今天的无力。
and powerless?
但是，经
With
过
the blessing of
佛陀
Buddha
慈悲的
light
光芒和教化，还有修炼之后，
and meditation practices, you
就
could
是一位不可思议的成
be
功
an
人士
incredibly successful person in your field or
一
industry,
个不可思议
even a
一个
superstar.
伟大的巨星，这是极有可能。
This is quite
请相信
possible.
自己
Please believe in yourself. I am the perfect example, living evidence.
谢谢。
Thank you.
从我开始传法以来，
Since I began teaching,
在我的印象里头，
in my
只有一
experience,
次的2次
I have only used an
把
outline
讲
once
话
or
的题目
twice.
的就是这个几个题目。
An outline for my lecture was used only
但是
twice.
2次之后，反而我不会
Both
说话
times, I froze instead.
我几乎从
I
来不
almost
给孩
never
子
draft
讲稿
speeches
也提前不做准备，
and never prepare in
是
advance.
信口就要
I believe in spontaneous speech.
在我
In my
早期
early
讲
days
课
of
讲法的
teaching,
时候，我的头脑之中
there were 7 colored
彩
beads
色的珠子，像安了小脚丫一样
that ran
到处
around
都
in my
咚咚咚
forehead,
咚咚咚就往
pattering back and
这边跑
forth.
过来再这么跑，
The beads would
就来
just
回跑。
keep on running.
过去有开天眼的
Practitioners with Dharma eyes could see colored lights in my brain.
我说我自己能看
I
见
told
自己
them
彩色的
that I
珠
saw
子
colored beads rolling back and
所以
forth.
都我的讲法不需要
I
我
don't
动
need
脑
to think hard to
有7个
teach.
小矮人
Instead,
有
there are
7
7 little
彩色的
beads,
舍利
7
珠在
colored
我来回
relic
跑
beads,
在给我提供的
circling,
这些知识
providing me with correct
所以我
information.
就再也不用
I no longer fear exams.
修行能改变
Meditation
我告
practice
诉
can
今天所有的有
transform
缘的
all.
朋友们
To those who came
这是我
here
的
today by
心里话
fate, this
我
is
如果
what I
找到很多
believe.
理由告诉
If
你
I
这
were
个
to
好
search for the
我想
reasons to
说
explain
服
the
你
benefits of
想说服你
meditation
那些
and convince
让
you
你能
about
够
the
理解
depth
我
of transformation
让我说真实的
that meditation and Buddha
佛带
brought
给我
me,
的到底是什么样的帮助和改
as
变
in my transformation,
我不知道怎么讲
I wouldn't know where to start.
我可以用几句话就是
In
化
short,
腐朽为神奇
From useless to
今
miraculous.
天在座的
I hope that
诸位
everyone here
有缘
today
的朋友
and
们
all with
能取得人
affinity
生最大的
will
辉煌
achieve the greatest
祝福
glory
大家。
possible. Bless you.